Glass Half Dead coming in at the end here. I hope you find this video useful, not just to build a Genestealer cult list, but also just as general information on how you can build any command roster, taking into account the 3 core pillars of being able to beat mech, being able to beat Gek, and being able to play the objective. And now, into the real video with the actual start. Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here. Am I in black and white? Or have I just chosen a grey top? I'll leave that up to your imagination, because I don't know. Anyway, we've seen the Kill Team Genestealer Cult rules, and now we need to figure out how to put that into practice when building a command roster. Obviously, as you can see on screen, we've already got a few units up there, but I just wanted to kind of point out that, yes, I thought to myself in this video, I'm going to cover how to, make a competitive, list for a tabletop war game, but that's not geeky and weird enough for me. How can I make it geekier? I know. I'll wear a gaming headset. Screw it, why not, right? I mean, I've got to move over to Twitch sometime, so why not figure out how that works now? For anybody wondering, this is going to specifically be for Kill Team Arena. So any suggestions I make, for example, if I'm talking about flamers, I am going to be referring very specifically to Arena and how they affect Arena. Also, for example, veterans are suddenly significantly more important in Arena than they were previously. Cool. With that in mind, let's dive in. Okay, so when I am building a roster to take to a tournament or anything, just for fun, because I'm the kind of person that builds command rosters for fun. Yeah. You have to take into account 3 different things. Firstly, can you kill elites? Secondly, can you kill swarms? Thirdly, can you play the objective? Now, in my mind, these are 3 separate lists. Well, I suppose the third one there, can you play the objective, should be included in all of your lists, but we get to that. So, the first thing, let's tackle elites, because they're easy, they make sense, and actually we have some amazing weapons that kind of allow us to dominate them, if we're not stupid. So, let's go over to our math hammer, our theory crafting. This was great fun to do. Oh yeah. Okay, so when it comes to elites, obviously we're looking at the mech column here and the mech column here. Mech, if you don't remember, standing for Marine Equivalent. So really we're looking at Grey Knights, Thousand Suns, Death Guard, Space Marines, etc. Death Watch, etc. So to build this list, we could just completely ignore Gek here and here. Over here, for interest, I just have a few generic things that that you could set up, so that you can see roughly how well other things work, generic things work compared to how our things work. We can ignore those. We can also ignore this little Grey Knight list that I built here, because that's another thing. Anyway, Marine equivalents. So, firstly, let's take a look at anything that is above 0 point. So, anything above a 1, we've got Acolyte Fighters with Rock Cutters, Acolyte Fighters with Rock Saws, not Acolyte Fighters with Rock Drills, but obviously the special ability that it has actually does make it pretty much an instant kill weapon, but we can ignore that for now. We've also got an Acolyte Leader with Rending Claws, but interestingly not with boneswords. That's interesting. Obviously both of the Aberrant builds, spot on, lovely. And a Metamorph Leader with boneswords. There we go. Taking that into account, we can kind of instantly take a look at what I've already built for us here. Oh, hold on. Is there... Oh, right. Sorry. So also Genestealers with Toxin Sacs and Acid Maw is clearly getting above a 1 there. So with that in mind, the list I have here, it's not a proper list, really. It's this is just part of the roster. I'm not saying you would take this every time, but Neophyte Leader, I tend to give him a bolt pistol and chainsword just because he has 2 attacks and an autogun or shotgun's pretty weedy. But if you prefer him with an autogun, feel free to take him as such. But don't forget that when it comes to arena, the distances are so short you almost don't need an autogun. If he's close enough to use an autogun, he's probably close enough to, With the leader, you're hiding him, basically. We've set up our Metamorph Leader there. The key is taking a bonesword. It makes him take up 1 more point, but for the killing potential it adds, brilliant. I mean, that gives him an extra attack at -2 AP, making him so he's getting 5 attacks at -2 AP. Brilliant weapon, brilliant weapon. An excellent weapon for taking out mechs. We then have an Acolyte Fighter with a Heavy Rock Saw as a Zealot. We also have an Acolyte Fighter with a Heavy Rock Cutter as combat. And then we have another Saw and another Cutter normals. We then have our Acolyte Leader that should have been above with the Bone Sword. Yes, nice. And then we have our Genestealer with Acid, Maw, Toxin, Sacs. Ignore the Scything Talons, you're never going to use them, you're only going to use the Acid Maw. And we will make him a Veteran. Because why not? Why not? Okay, so a quick little bit of rundown here. The reason we have 1 Rock Saw as a Zealot and 1 Rock Saw as a Cutter, or 1 Rock Cutter as a combat, is because generally you actually want to put the combat and the Zealot on the Cutters, not the Saws. However, Zealots have, can you see it? Killing Frenzy. There we go. No, I'm using my webcam. It's terrible, I realise. Which basically, I'll read it to you. Use this tactic when you pick a Zealot specialist from your kill team to fight in the fight phase. Until the end of the phase, each time you make a hit roll of 6+ for that model, you can make an additional attack with the same weapon against the same target. These attacks cannot themselves generate any further attacks. So that means you have a... so you're making 2 attacks plus a third on the charge, so you have a 50-50 chance to attack again if you roll a 6, basically. However, you have to get a 6+, and as a Heavy Rock Cutter, you are -1 to hit, so you can never roll a natural 6. However, with that said, if you decide you never want to use Killing Frenzy on your Heavy Rock Saw because you don't want to waste the CP, you've got a master plan, it doesn't involve Killing Frenzy, I would say run both the Zealot and the combat as a Heavy Rock Cutter instead of the Heavy Rock Saw. I, however, am making a bit more of a generic list, and you never know, maybe I will want to use a Killing Frenzy, and so I have the Zealot on the Heavy Rock Saw. However, the question is, what else is good at killing Marines? So, we have ourselves a little list there. It's come to 85 points, which gives us a solid 15 points to spend. So we can't put an Aberrant in. That's fine. Whatever. What do we want to put in? At this point, I feel... So we have, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 models dedicated solely to killing Marines. And we have a leader. At this point, I would say... You know what? If you can't kill the enemy models with 7 dedicated models, your dice are against you. You've rolled terribly. Let's pull it back. You're going to lose anyway. Another 1 model, maybe 2, isn't going to save you. At this point, we need to consider, okay, well, we need to play the objective. We want all of the guys we've just put on the list to be fighting, really. So now... With 15 points left, I say we very simply take 3 neophyte hybrids. Personal preference, I go shotguns. Just because in arena, you never really need that 24-inch move, you know? It's pretty... That's a beastie move. Yeah. A move. Firing range. I prefer the double barrel shotgun. That's just me. That's just me. And that takes us perfectly to 100 points. It gives us 11 models, 7 of which are absolute beasts against mechs in close combat, 3 of which are there to scatter around objectives, and one of them's a leader who is probably going to sit at the very back of the board and capture your home objective, kind of. Now, I think that's a really good list if you want to take out mechs. Great. And it's taken up 11 slots, except the leader. So he doesn't really count because he's going to go towards the next roster as well. So really that takes up 10 slots. So we've got 10 more slots to fill out for a team that can take out swarms. Now, when we're thinking swarms, we're not thinking 10, 11 models. We're thinking 15 plus. We're thinking Chaos Cultists, or, let's be honest, this is what we're going to see, Tyrannid Swarms. So, when it comes to a Tyrannid Swarm, how do we beat them? Not easily is the answer. And the reason not easily is the answer is because ultimately you've got to assume you're going to be facing a lot of Hormigants. They are 2 attacks, tough, rerolling 1s, toughness 3, yes, but also strength 3. And if you're a Marine, that strength 3 means they need 5 to get through. I think they're only actually getting a wound on you in 0.1. Like, as a Marine, you actually have a pretty good chance of surviving a swarm of Hormigans. However, against us, they only need 4s to wound. That's bad. That's really bad. So, we can't rely on our resiliency to block hallways. We have to take the fight to the enemy. What have we got that can do that? We go back to the math hammer, the theory craft. What can save us? So now we are ignoring the mech, both long and ranged, and we go to the Gek, long and ranged. Again, we're really looking for anything that's over a 1, just because why not? But also, now, we have to look a little bit further than just the maths, because obviously a lot more things are over a 1 here than they were in the mech. But perhaps we don't actually need the full killing potential. For example, an Aberrant with Power Hammer 2.5. Crazy damage. Great. Except he's only getting off 2 attacks. His average hit rate, he's only going to hit 1 model. So actually what we want to be thinking there is we want number of attacks, because we know that the Tyrannid Swarm is going to be outnumbering us. So we might want to be able to split our attacks, which means we are looking for number of hits more than damage going through. So we want the most number of attacks on a model. Who's that in our roster? Hybrid Metamorphs. So when we're looking at this, we are actually going to be valuing number of attacks a lot higher than actual damage going through. Because, for example, on the Roxor, 2.2, that's amazing. But you're only getting 2 attacks. Well, 3, because let's be honest, they're going to be our Combat and Zealot. But ignore that, because this theory crafting has been done on the fact that it's 2 attacks, not the Combat and Zealot. However, you're only getting 2 attacks. Whereas with our, for example, Metamorph Leader, who also has 2.2, logically they are equal in damage, but not quite, because while the Roxor is only getting 2 attacks, the Metamorph Leader is getting 5, which means you can safely split your attack 3 and 2 and probably make 2 kills. Therefore, he is a significantly more powerful model. Equally, going down to the Metamorphs with Rending Claws, well, with any of them really, those are 3 attacks instead of 2. They are safer to put on the board than anything else. Equally, look up here, the Flamer suddenly becomes quite an interesting weapon. So going back here, we obviously want our Neophyte Leader. We've got to have him, sadly. And we definitely want the Metamorph Leader with Bonesword. Goes without saying. We also definitely want the Acolyte Leader with Bonesword. And I'm going to say the Genestealer, because that's a veteran, very good for opening doors. Let's keep that in mind. Even if you only take a veteran for opening door shenanigans, it's pretty useful. Going back up, while we're here, Heavy Roxor, Heavy Rock Cutter as Combat and Zealot. They're just really good. Yeah. Don't forget, in a Tyrannid Swarm, you will possibly still have to kill a Tyrannid Warrior. They are there for that. They will wreck a Tyrannid Warrior. But that's only brought us to 61 points. Now we could take heavy rocks or heavy rock cutter. Again, they are great weapons, but I'm going to advocate for not doing that. And instead, we are going to chuck in a neophyte gunner and a neophyte gunner. And we're going to give both of them flamers. Why is that? Fair question. So, the beauty of Kill Team Arena is you can use a bit of tactics. You know how the boards are going to be set up. A single 32mm base can block a doorway. So you're going to stick one of your guys, one of your 32mm, your Acolyte Fighters or your Metamorphs, into that doorway where the enemy is trying to get through. They will only be able to engage them with maximum 3 models. And they are then going to hit your back. They aren't going to be able to move forwards anymore. So they are potentially, depending on how they've deployed, going to end up with models can't get into combat, can't move, and unless they run away, they're stuck there doing nothing. So in your little doorway, you are going to have your 32mm base, and behind that, a flamer. While your 32mm base is wrecking face with their boneswords, probably, and all of the guys in combat, your flamer is shooting everybody, also hits, shooting everybody that's not in combat behind those 3 engaged models. That is what your flamer is there to do. And of course, don't forget that as Genestealer Cults, we have not only the ability to use Ultra Close Confines Overwatch, which is going to automatically guarantee you not 6 hits, D6 hits. So use that. That as a flamer, that is your only good Overwatch don't even bother shooting Overwatch with the other models basically. So your flamers are there to lock down corridors as a team member along with a 32mm base, and also to fire Overwatch. So you actually want your flamers to be slightly in front of your 32mm guys until the 32mm guy takes over to sit in the doorway. At which point, the reason for that, sorry, is because if you get charged, they have to charge the flamer. Overwatch with the flamer, you don't really care about the other guy getting charged because the flamer should, if they roll averagely, kill what they need to kill. And again, Genestealer Cults, yes, we have the ultra close confines, but we also have our own heightened senses. Use them both if you have to, because you will be, as a flamer doing Overwatch, you will be putting both of those to very good use. Now that takes us up to 79 points, so we've got, by my estimate, 11 points left. I say, what we need for that is hybrid Metamorph times 2, with whatever it is they have. Hand flamers are okay. Hand flamers are okay. A quick note before I go to the hand flamers, actually, sorry. Note here that hybrid metamorphs, the rending, you know what? We need to look at the maths. Right, hybrid metamorph, the rending claws are always your best option, whatever you're attacking. There you go. You don't need to know anything else. Just use the rending claws. They are your best option in any circumstances. Even if you've gotten a flesh wound, any reason, they are your best. Now, going up to here, flamer. We're not looking for that. We're looking for the hand flamer, aren't we? Ah, here we go. So, it's only a 0.667 and it only has a 6-inch range. Yes, it's also hit. So in the right circumstances, it can be useful, especially as there is a tactic in Stance Disciples that for 1 CP, you can buff it to give it -1 AP and it will do 2 damage a hit, which is very good, but you're still only 6-inch range. Normally, if you're being charged, they are over 6 inches, so you can't overwatch it. It's a bit dicey, and it's 2 points. That's kind of expensive, if I'm honest. So I personally don't put much stock in a hand flamer, which is a shame. But for 2 points, I don't think it's worth it. And so we go back to here and we see that we have 95 points. So, pop, there we go. Our swarm killing list is, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Again, 11 models. So, we're not really going crazy here. We're not trying to match the swarm's swarminess. That's not, you won't be able to do that. We are here to kill the swarm. Now, with that in mind, let's build out the final 1, 2, 3, 4 parts of this roster. All neophyte model hybrids just with shotguns. But why? Good question. So, okay, you might want to put an aberrant in. You might want to put a second Genestealer in. Genestealers are good. There's no doubt about that. I personally want to build them out as neophyte hybrids, just in case I decide I want to do a swarm. So let's mark them up. Here we go. Our Neophyte Leader, he gets used in all lists. Okay. Our Metamorph Leader, oh, he's also been used in all lists. So are these guys, because they are awesome. And, you don't have to, but it makes a lot of sense to fill out all of your specialism slots. And they are just amazing damage output models. Okay, those are the 2, 3, 4, 5 models that are put in all lists. Outside of that, and I do think those should be used in all lists. So if we assume that what we have in there right now is a bit of an all-rounder, but we want to make sure that we have the models to swarm out and capture all the objectives and keep them contested, I would run this list. Again, I really like the Flamers. And then just take as many hybrids as you can, actually. 90 and 2 more. There you go. So this is really maximizing your hybrids, your neophyte hybrids, sorry, as opposed to your killing potential. The reason for doing this is kind of my play the objective. I would not recommend taking this for every single time you're going to be fighting. This is very much I know the secondaries I'm getting in this mission, and I know that they require bodies on the board, as opposed to killing and blocking. Or that's all I could think of, really. So this way you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this way you have a 13-point list coming in at exactly 100 points. And it's really there just to give you more guys. Now, it's only 2 more guys, but to be honest, 2 more guys, and don't forget they are expendable guys that you can just kind of throw out there, see what happens. They get killed, alright, no biggie. But ultimately, they are 2 more guys that are the same toughness and armor save as everybody else you've used in your lists, which is kind of scary, but yeah. So with that in mind, this roster, now obviously we have a few spots that we haven't used there, so if you do want to chuck in another aberrant hybrid, Genestealer, whatever, or a gun that you like using, maybe you really value the seismic cannon, it's a good weapon, then put that in here, build it into a list. This here is a very quickly done under pressure, because anytime I've cut, it's only to cover up me rambling and talking bollocks. This has been done here for you guys to see. I think this provides a decent Genestealer Cult list. It's using all of our best models in most of the lists. It gives us the ability to be flexible. It gives us flamers, which are great weapons. You've all seen my Math Hammer Theorycraft chart here. Take a look at that. That's what you want. Where is it? It's over that side. Okay. The important things to keep in mind are rock cutters, rock saws, and metamorph leaders with bone swords are your top 3 units. If they aren't in every list, that's a very questionable list. Flamers, as we can see up here, are really good against Gek. They're not so good against mech. If you're absolutely determined to kill mech and you have to have ranged As you see here, a seismic cannon. Short is our best range weapon. However, even though short range is 12 inches on it, you're only getting 6 inches on it or not long range. So you'd be taking -1 to BS, which means you're hitting on 5s, which isn't great. And you'd be a heavy, which means you can't move if you want to shoot. There's issues. I think the thing to keep in mind with Genestealer Cults is if you go into a mission and you have no shooting outside of whatever you happen to have on your neophytes, that's fine. You're not looking to have a shootout. That is not what the Genestealer Cults do. Okay? You are looking to get stuck in. You want to charge the enemy with your big hitters, and that's the way to do it. This has been Glass Half Dead. I'm obviously going to be playing a lot of Genestealer Cults over the coming weeks, a month or so, until we get to Warhammer World. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think this has been a good list? Do you think this is a serviceable command roster? Have I made any glaring mistakes that you're like, actually, toxin sacks don't do that, and blah blah blah? I don't know. I don't know. Do you think I've missed out hugely on giving a neophyte gunner flamer the demolition speciality or a heavy speciality so you can wreck face with them? I don't know. What do you think? I don't claim to be an expert. I probably have a win rate of about 50-50, if I'm honest. I can't say I've really counted, but that's probably about right. I'm a very middle of the road player, very average. Maybe I'm entirely wrong. Or maybe my list building skills are top shelf and my gameplay is just utter crap. I don't know. You tell me though. What do you think of this command roster? Do you think I've missed anything out? Let me know. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Because I'm a dirty YouTube shill, I guess. Anyway, this has been Glass Half Dead. I'm saying goodbye. And you are watching... No, I've just said my name. You're you. Nice. Keep being you. I like it. We then have an Acolyte Leader. He's in the list kind of as a question. I don't know why he's there. He's here as well. I've messed up the list. Good stuff. Good stuff. Ignore that. Let's power through.